Remember when common sense was common? When standing up for what is right was the right thing to do? Welcome to The Right Side. Common sense conversations about Hawaii's political landscape and how it affects you, your ohana, and your community. Join us for the next hour as we cut through the political noise and look at Hawaii from the right side, where public officials and community leaders discuss the policies that affect our future, strategies that move the needle, and highlight leaders that are stepping up to make a difference. Get ready for The Right Side, a common sense conversation.
All right, 808-913-6450. I'm Augie. That's Malia. Welcome to The Right Side.
Welcome to The Right Side.
Yes.
That's the first time I've ever tried to say that.
That was good. It sounded really authentic. Should I do that again?
Welcome to The Right Side.
Boom. You see that? Huh? Producer Leah?
Maybe I have a future in radio.
We rocking and rolling. All right. So I like today's interview.
Me too.
Because a lot of people, in Hawaii are concerned. And, before social media, this is who we had that got us the information on like things that was happening or in our community. So like when you told me that we're having CrimeStoppers, I was like, all right, cool.
Timely, accurate information.
Perfect, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we want, right? We want transparency. We want also be able to take care of family and friends in our community. So this is just one of the way. And, we'll talk story with CrimeStoppers. And who do we have next week? I'm quizzing you right now.
Okay. He's he's going to talk on affordable housing.
Yes.
Mo. A lot of people know Mo.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people want to know about affordable housing. A lot of people is it really affordable?
No.
I understand. That's why. So, I thought it was important that, we try to get people to understand.
Super short show, yeah.
Why it's just difficult too, right?
Right.
For them to build affordable. So that's the reason why, as much people we can get to, be transparent and help us get people to, understand the difficulties sometimes in building affordable and all that good stuff. But that's next week. Today, when I speak to families and senior citizens in my district, the number one concern is public safety.
I know, I remember.
Public safety.
When you went door to door when you were campaigning.
Yeah, they're worried about clean parks. They're worried about, all the things that, most of us, think about. And, as a public safety chair at the Honolulu City Council, I hear the same concerns. Today we have with us law enforcement officer who helps track down the criminals after they have committed a crime. He also helps to prevent crimes from occurring and to, reunite people who are lost with their families. So, Malia, would you like to introduce our guests?
Sure. Sergeant Edmund Ho, welcome to the show.
Mahalo.
He plays a pivotal role in maintaining safety and harmony in Honolulu as the CrimeStoppers Coordinator for the Honolulu Police Department. His dedication to preserving the Aloha Spirit is rooted in his extensive experience as a community policing team officer in District 1 and 7. These roles taught him the importance of fostering strong community connections and collaborating with local partners to effectively address and prevent crime. With over 13 years of law enforcement, Ed has honed his skills as a detective and community liaison, utilizing his experience to lead initiatives that promote safety and trust. In his role as the head of Honolulu CrimeStoppers, he works with residents and media to solve and prevent crimes against people, animals, and property.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Mahalo, Augie. Mahalo, Malia.
Yeah.
It's so awesome to be here on the right side.
That's right.
Oh, he has a future, too.
There you go. 808-913-6450. You can hear me say this a lot. I'm doing the numbers because a lot of times, a lot of people think that the show is recorded. No, we are live today. So I know producer Leah is ready to take your calls. Right, Leah? Thumbs up? Yes. We're talking before you got in about just the excitement of, being in law enforcement 13 years and taking on this new task. How is it?
This task is amazing. Like my entire police career, I would never thought that I would be afforded this opportunity, to be in front of one of the legends who I regarded, right, back in the day was Augie T, right? And, to sit here and be right next to Malia as well,
Thank you.
This is a very humbling experience. So, I really appreciate it. And,
dude.
We're going to do some amazing things.
Yes, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, like we said earlier, the the number one concern in our communities, and I can almost guarantee in the rest of the communities, is public safety, and we should be really taking care of our core services. If I had my way, I'd give you guys all the resources you guys need, because at the end of the day, people in our community just want to feel safe. So can you share a little bit, just in case people didn't know? I mean, how can you not know about Crime Stoppers? But you want to share a little bit about what Crime Stoppers does?
Yeah, of course. One of the biggest challenges that I learned early on about Crime Stoppers is that, like you said, you would think that the community, the members of the public would know, what we're here for, what our, purpose is and what we do. Surprisingly, believe it or not, our mission statement, if I just, sum it up for you guys, it's to make the city and county of Honolulu a safer place by encouraging, the key word here, anonymous information reporting from the community in order to assist law enforcement in solving crimes. With that simple mission, you would think that majority of the information that comes through Crime Stoppers would be just this, right? Information reporting. But it surprises me that a lot of people think that Crime Stoppers is the police department. Some people think that Crime Stoppers is a way to report something that a crime has committed to them or somebody else. And so our challenge is to direct them appropriately, to let them know whether it's through the hotline call, whether it's through the P3 tip app, or whether it's through our online website, to let them know that we are here for anonymous reporting, and if you have a case that needs to be made, please use the 911 system in order to form a police report.
I don't think any way people can find information or give information, I think is a good thing. Yeah, I guarantee a lot of people do think like, hey, can you help me? These guys, because it's Crime Stoppers, but it's a nonprofit that a lot of the calls are taken by everyday people, right?
Exactly. And that's one of the hallmarks of the program, right? Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit organization. It's volunteers at the call center. It's volunteers from the board of directors, the executive committee. Everybody that runs the organization is all volunteers, right? So, my job and my assignment as the police coordinator is exactly that, right? Is to promote and coordinate all the information exchanges and make sure that it goes to the appropriate channels and from the proper points in which this information is coming from.
Yeah, it's so important that people, they have an arm or, a way to get to the police, because you guys can direct them the correct way. So even if it takes, calling you guys, I think it's a good thing, to always, the public, sometimes they just want to be heard, right? They just want to be like, can you help me with this, or can you help me with that? And you guys give them a pathway for that.
Exactly, right? We help them navigate it, right? We coordinate with them, connect the dots, so to speak, yeah? 808-913-6450. We're talking Crime Stoppers.
If you guys have any questions, we're here, to take your call and listen to some of your concerns, or, maybe just talk. We are here for you. Malia.
Well, I know when I worked in the media for many years, I always relied on Crime Stoppers and worked with various Crime Stoppers coordinators over the years. Letha DeCaris, I think it was, and Chris Kim. We had him.
Yes.
We worked with him. So it's a great job, and we're really happy that Crime Stoppers exists and does so much for the community. Well, I guess one thing I wanted to know is, one of your mantras is and really law enforcement's is, if you see something, say something. And in terms of a crime that was committed, so what do you encourage people to do exactly when they know about a crime or that you might have asked for help on?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Malia. And that whole mantra of if you see something, say something, that was kind of created based on the community policing ideology that the members of the community are the partners in keeping their community safe, right? It's based on the reality that there are more members in the community than there are law enforcement officers. And, if you just look at the statistics on this island alone, right, just with the population, we already know, that's not a surprise, right? And so, the bottom line is that when the members of the community become the eyes and ears and send the anonymous information, and the other important part about this anonymous information is that it's also confidential, right? And so I think for a lot of people, that's the thing that helps them feel a little bit more at ease about sharing, is they know that, one, we don't have caller ID to track their phone number, right? Two, we open up by saying, please remain anonymous.
Right.
Right. And three, if there's ever a situation where somebody, inadvertently divulges their information, then we give them a friendly reminder that, the whole purpose of this is to remain confidential, and that we will erase your information to keep your confidentiality, keep your anonymity, right? And so, I think when members of the community see that, hear that, and understand that, they feel more at ease, knowing that, they're not being snitches, right? Because we all know that snitches get what?
Killed.
No.
Hung. Commit suicide, but don't really. I don't know. Tell us.
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
Oh, stitches get stitches. Okay.
Malia went to the extreme on that one, Edmund.
She did.
I went dark real quick.
But that's okay, right? That's why we're here, right? To lighten it up, to liven it up, and to get the right side of things, right?
Coming up, we'll find out how Crime Stoppers was started, and we'll talk more with Sergeant Ho from Crime Stoppers. It's the right side, a common sense conversation.
Welcome back to The Right Side with Hawaii public officials and community leaders. Let's get back to Common Sense Conversations.
808-913-6450. We are live. We're here with Sergeant Edmund Ho from Crime Stoppers. Can you tell us when Crime Stoppers got started and all that stuff? Let's go back from the beginning and why this is so important for the community.
Sure, Augie, yes. We're going to go back. We're going to go way back.
Way back.
Way back in July of 1976, to be exact.
I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Ooh, me too. Augie and I are the same age.
Yeah.
And so this was all the way in a place known as Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay.
Right?
Oh.
So next challenge, let's spell Albuquerque
Right.
together.
No.
Right?
Pass on that one.
Pass.
Pass on that
Okay.
one.
But basically what happened was there was a detective named Greg McAleese.
Okay.
He had a case in which no witnesses came forward, no leads at all. The detective had this previous life experience of being in media, kind of like Malia, and he decided that he was going to take advantage of the use of media. He created a reenactment of the offense and aired it on TV. He used his own money to fund it, even put up his own money to create the reward for it.
Wow.
And believe it or not, people came forward, got some information. It even triggered somebody's memory, one of the witnesses who didn't think anything of it, but after seeing the reenactment and hearing what happened, that led them to be one of the eyewitnesses that helped solve the case.
Wow,
So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so all the way back in 1976, Albuquerque, New Mexico, that was the beginnings of the Crime Stoppers program as we know it, right? And then in February of 1981, 44 years ago, Honolulu CrimeStoppers was initiated, and the nonprofit organization is still running strong and moving forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been to many fundraisers, and you guys do great work. So, what is the important thing the community should know about Crime Stoppers?
So, kind of a little bit on the same lines as what I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But the key point, and I can't stress this enough, is that Crime Stoppers Honolulu is a nonprofit organization,
right,
which is separate from the Honolulu Police Department. Even though I am the police officer, the police sergeant, I'm operating as the coordinator for Crime Stoppers. And a lot of times we find that people confuse Crime Stoppers for the police department.
Correct.
Right? And then what ends up happening is that people feel like, they can send a tip in to the Crime Stoppers line for an in-progress case. So, for example, the road rage incidences that's been occurring
Right.
a few months ago.
That we see it on social media. We see it a lot. Yeah.
Right. So there was a time where after that had happened, people would end up texting, not texting, but sending in their tip via the app at like 12:15 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And unfortunately, because we're a nonprofit and because I need sleep as well too, right? I can't be, monitoring every single opportunity, right?
Right.
So those are the type of situations that I had to explain, by typing and sending a message, letting the people know, the community members, that, hey, we appreciate what you're seeing and what you're observing, but it would be more helpful and more effective to call 911.
Correct.
That way, an officer that's on patrol can observe what's happening and then intervene and, make a difference in the community.
No,
So-
that's why I thought it was so important that you tell a story and how it started, because basically what you guys are doing is you guys saying to the public, look, we need help. This happened. I'll give you an example. Like last week, if you see this person, right, this number you call.
Exactly.
Again, it's not happening right away, but it's something that the police need help in. So you don't just call, because again, it's calls taken by everyday people. I visit Crime Stoppers several times, and it's kopuna sometimes, just sitting there, because they love the community and they want to help the police, and it's just another way, again, to help with the police in their case, so that we can get some of these bad guys and bad women, bad kids off the streets, because at the end of the day, we want our city to be safe.
Well, I noticed, like, even last week in the news, I think it was last week, the acid attack, Crime Stoppers issued some information, I believe. And then there was another one where somebody was missing, some family member was missing, and
Exactly.
you had sent out something about that. So, yeah.
And those are all great examples of the successful stories recently, right? Where we've seen the, information, a lot of information, from people saying something as simple as, I used to work with this person, or, I think this person may be here, may be there. Those are all the things that we're asking the public to come forth with, right? Is those information that's going to kind of, leave the breadcrumb, lead the trail to the person that we're looking for, right? And then, like you said, with our missing kupuna that's out there that was just reported on Monday, the hopes is that his family is very concerned for his safety and for his well-being, and we want to make sure that, if anybody sees or has any idea of where he may be, please let us know, right? Because then it goes straight to the investigators. They can follow up. They can, kind of canvass the area and bring them to safety. So,
a lot of times, because we live on an island, we're worried about retaliation. And, Crime Stoppers is there so that doesn't happen. Again, because, they need help. The breadcrumbs, again. Sergeant was talking about, like, help. Giving the help so that the officers can do their job more effectively. You talk about missing kupuna. Man, lately we've been having a lot of that happen, yeah?
Yeah, there's been a few, and, the most important part is that because majority of them need medication, it's vital that we get to them sooner than later, right? Because, the worst thing that can happen out there without proper nutrition and, proper medication, they're already, frail,
yes,
so to speak, right? And so, especially with how hot and humid it's been recently, it takes a toll physically on the body. So, we try our very best to, get it out there and get to as many eyes and ears as possible, and hope that, the members of the community can be what our president would say, the force multiplier.
I like that, the force multiplier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's President Sanstapal's, that's his line. So he gave me permission to use that.
It's also because, in this day and age when we are short police officers, and I cannot emphasize enough, guys, if you're 21 and over, and Sergeant got into the force late in his career, and what do you like most about being a police officer? And we'll go back to Crime Stopper, but since, I'm making this plea and we get 3 minutes, I want to try to get as much people to maybe consider public safety, maybe consider serving your community.
Yeah, and like you said, Augie, right? I mean, the bottom line is serving your community, I knew early on that I was meant to serve people. My previous career as a physical therapist assistant, as a personal trainer, was always, serving people, helping people to achieve their goals, right? Fortunately, I got blessed with the opportunity to take it up to the next level and serve my entire island. Right?
That's awesome.
Serve
Yeah,
the city,
because
county,
you're in
Honolulu.
you was telling me that you're in a certain district for a long time, but now you get just the whole island.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I know you're a community policing team member, and we work with the community policing team in our district quite a bit. They're really great.
Oh.
They come walk the block with us.
I was just bragging about how how helpful they've been, just in Waipahu and Eva. So we're very, very thankful, and that's why, if you are 21 year and over, like I found out that if I wasn't a city councilman, I can go and take the test myself.
How many push-ups do you have to do? You have a personal trainer right here.
That's right. Yeah. And if I fall apart, he's a physical therapist too, so he can fix me up.
See?
Because producer Leah might be considering, police force, Leah? 808-913-6450. We're talking Crime Stoppers with Sergeant Edmund Ho. If you got questions, please call us. We are live, 808-913-6450. This is The Right Side, a common sense conversation.
Welcome back to The Right Side with Hawaii public officials and community leaders. Let's get back to common sense conversations.
All right, welcome to The Right Stuff, The Right Side. I was thinking, New Kids on the Block. I'm sorry. You got the right stuff.
Well, when we first started doing this, didn't we think the show should be called The Right Stuff? I mean, that's perfect.
Right. No, it's The Right Side, a common sense conversation. And we're talking Crime Stoppers, Sergeant Edmund Ho from the department. And, they play a big role, again, in helping assist the police with crime. As far, we talked about missing Kapuna and Malia loves animals. So
I have a big soft spot for animals, of course. And so I was wondering, I know you do help with crimes against animals, and I was just wondering what kind of crimes those are, and what partners you might have, and how people report that kind of thing.
Yes, a good question, Malia. A lot of people don't realize this, but Crime Stoppers also has a branch or an arm for protecting animals. Doesn't always have to be dogs or cats, right? Because that's what a lot of people think of when they think of what we do. But, it's any animal. We've had, since 2001, a amazing partnership with the Hawaiian Humane Society.
Okay.
And the whole point of the Animal Crime Stoppers program is that there's a correlation between violence against animals and potential violence towards people. Right?
Yeah, we learned a lot about that too. We had no idea in past segments on how that relates so much, and we see that in if you into crime series and stuff, that you see young men and women at an early age abusing animals. Yeah, so. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and so, with that being said, the idea again is, the same anonymous, the same confidential information exchange, right? People aren't going to come out and, feel very confident snitching on their next door neighbor, right? Because we all know from what Malia said what happens to snitches, right?
You remember?
You get whacked. Is that right?
Stitches.
Oh, stitches.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get it by the end of the show. I don't know. It's just kind of stuck in my head. I'm pretty sure you get whacked.
Hey, kill him! No, not that, Malia.
I'm pretty sure there's no stitches. I'm pretty sure they just go for the...
But, this unique opportunity of, reporting the tip anonymously and confidentially that really helps, because a lot of times the next door neighbor or the people in the community, they're the ones having to listen to, the animal crying out in pain, or witnessing the neglect, being tied out with no food, no water, or even other situations in which there's clear neglect going on, but obviously the animal can't say anything, right? So
Correct.
The human being, has to take it upon themselves, right? The good Samaritan, the person in the public who feels that that's part of their kuleana, they need to go and use this option for us to be able to then lead it to the investigators of the Humane Society's team. And so there's a lot of information that comes in for cruelty to animals.
Oh, that's sad.
Unfortunately, there's been a couple of cases recently involving poisoning and things that we would just think, like, why would anybody do that, right?
Why would anybody be so mean, huh?
Right. Why would it escalate up to that level? But like we said earlier, right, if we don't catch it now, then is that going to be?
And it might be a correlation, right? Again.
Right.
Yeah, sad. So, we covered about how Crime Stoppers help the police with breadcrumbs. We talked about missing kupuna. We talked about animals. Crime Stoppers work to prevent crime on school campuses. What kind of crimes do we have on our campuses, and how, and what does Crime Stoppers do with that?
Soggy, the biggest thing, and I know this one is near and dear to your heart with the bullying, right? With the organization that your Ohana has set up as well too. Believe it or not, the bullying and the cyberbullying is only a small percentage of the issues that we see. More commonplace, what we find is that the vaping, the e-cigarettes, and especially now these vaping devices, they have tanks in them that can hold all kind of illicit liquids that the students are not just doing the vape juice, right? They're putting other things in there, like CBD. They're putting liquid forms of higher level drugs that, is detrimental, right? And at that early age, we all know that the human mind isn't even fully developed, right? And yet you're going to introduce drugs into it, and you're going to ruin the future, not only of yourselves, but by introducing and with peer pressure to somebody who is your quote-unquote friend. Right. You're just altering the course of their lives, right?
With fentanyl now and, a whole bunch of other stuff, it's so easy to be caught up in the pakalolo that we had growing up is not the pakalolo that we see now. It kills me because, when we know like almost 30% of high school students don't graduate, it's kind of, so what happens to those kids? They end up doing stuff that they're not supposed to, and, smoking pakalolo, doing bad things, and it's just a crazy, vicious circle. So we got to do whatever we can. So what happens with vaping in the schools? What kind of role does Crime Stopper play with just that?
Yeah, so the interesting thing about it is a lot of students themselves don't even know that there's Hawaii revised statutes that ban it, that make it a crime to not only buy it, but even possess it. Right. And so one of the opportunities that I'm given, and, this is one of those things that I always look forward to, and with the beginning of the school year now, it's, ramping up again with the request. But I feel it's my responsibility to share this with the students, to let them know that, this isn't just somebody saying they don't want you to do this because they don't want you to do it. It's because it has more detrimental health effects later on down the line. And because it's a law, even more so that it needs to be enforced, and that we rely on, the students that are they're trying to do their best, right? Trying to honor their parents' wishes, to, make the best opportunity for themselves, to allow them to have a safe environment to learn, to be able to thrive, to be able to, get ahead in life. And, if unfortunately these illegal behaviors are taking place and they say something, then it gives us the opportunity to nip it right there.
Oh,
right?
well,
So
any way I can help, I think it's so important. And, again, laws are created so that we can live harmoniously together. And when you break the law, you're not doing that. You stopping that again, that harmonious, way of life, because you're doing something you're not supposed to. And then, you really hurting yourself when you do that. So whatever I can do for help, please let me know, because I know, I want to make sure that our students, aware that, I know that a lot of them comes, through the mail now, and they get them, ways like, there's always ways to get stuff that you're not supposed to get.
Exactly.
And, it's so important. So you guys go out to schools, I'm thinking.
Yeah. So, I'm out there, during assemblies, educating, members of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Last week I had the opportunity to be at Honolulu Elementary School.
Shout out Honolulu.
Yep. And then tomorrow, in fact, I'm going to be there for the parents as well, too, because
awesome.
Not only is it important for the students to hear, but it's important for the parents to hear the same message as well, too, so that they can reinforce it and they can take action on it as well, too, right? Because when we get the tip and we send it in to the school, to the administrators at the school, they can only do so much with
That's
it,
right?
And then they have to communicate with the parents, and if the parents and the teachers aren't on the same page, then it makes things difficult for everybody.
And every once in a while, you'll get like a gun at school, right? Or something else like that,
so
like pretty serious.
Weapons, yes. And that's one of the other things that I was going to mention as well, is that, recently there's been an uptick in weapons on campus, right? And, the thing is, it doesn't even have to be a real gun. A lot of students are coming in with, airsoft or other types.
That kind of look.
Kind of look, right? And give, if you're looking at safety, like you said, it's important, right?
And, CrimeStoppers is a small arm, not run by, it's a nonprofit that just helps assist the police department. 808-913-6450. This is The Right Side, a common sense conversation.
Welcome back to The Right Side with Hawaii public officials and community leaders. Let's get back to common sense conversations.
808-913-6450. This is our last break, and for the last almost an hour, we've been talking to Sergeant Edmund Ho from CrimeStoppers. He's given us a lot of details on what they do specifically to help the Honolulu Police Department. I know Malia's like, okay, I got a question. Please let me ask the question.
I know, and I think he brought up a really good point about how it's a nonprofit.
Correct.
It's not part of the police department. I don't think a lot of people know that. But one of the things I wanted to know was, you keep talking about rewards.
Okay.
Rewards. What are the rewards, and how do people get it? How do they qualify for a reward?
Right. So, excellent question, Malia. The reward system, and this is one thing that I've learned just recently, is that people see $1,000, and in their mind they think that they're going to get $1,000.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the reality is, it's earning up to $1,000
So there's
reward.
is there a little disclaimer?
There is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's written there. It says up to $1,000 reward, right? If your information leads to the apprehension or arrest of a wanted individual, right? And so, Malia, you asked what is the criteria. And so, there's a lot of criteria. In this day and age, I like to use the term algorithm, right? Because, nowadays everything's based on algorithms, right? So for us, it's a combination of the information comes in, we get a tip, and if the person is arrested, then we make the notifications. I plug it into the computer database. The algorithm decides based on the severity of the crime, the dollar amount for the warrant, etc., what the final payout is going to be. This is the amazing part, though. You would think, right, that in this day and age, everybody would be interested in earning up to $1,000 in reward money. A lot of times the tips come in, the question is asked, are you interested in a reward? Do you want a reward? You'd be surprised how many people click no when they answer that question.
Wow.
It's just like help, right?
Yeah. And the reason for that, right, I believe, right, that this is just, my heartfelt belief that, the kuleana that people still feel in making a difference in their community, as well as the Aloha Spirit that still prevails. I feel that that's one of the biggest reasons why people will say that I just want to do the right thing, right? Yeah. I just want to make the community better. I just want to see, this problem go away, right? Whether it's a illegal gambling establishment, whether it's, somebody that they know is hiding out, right, with a warrant that is featured, whether it's a place that is a known crime haven, like a chop shop or something where, stolen cars get, taken in and parts get taken off. Things as simple as that. You'd be surprised. A lot of people, even though the reward is there, they'll choose to opt out and not take the monetary award.
They just want justice, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
They just want justice.
Again, when the number one thing in your community is public safety, sometimes, hey, I just like help. And that's this small way of helping, and, the reward is just a little like a bonus. But, most of the time, when you see something happen, like in real time, you're just like, I gotta help, So we really appreciate everyone that's watching or listening. Sorry, when I say watching, we are being filmed, and Malia will upload this podcast so that you, in case you missed it, you get a chance to, learn more about Crime Stoppers. Now, you're new to the job. Malia named off several people that was in your position before that. So what are your goals, as a new Crime Stopper guy?
The whole point, right, of running the program first and foremost as the coordinator is just making sure that I carry on with managing all of the successful outcomes that the predecessors have created, and all those facets of the program continue to thrive, right? So first and foremost, that's my immediate goal, right? But because of my experience in community policing, my second goal is to continue to facilitate the partnerships with new media partners, new community partners. Like I mentioned earlier, I had the opportunity to be in District 1 and District 7. It would be such a, tremendous honor to be able to branch out and, for everybody in all the different districts on the island to understand and know what role Crime Stoppers can help in making a difference in their communities, right? And then third, and the most important thing for me is to educate and empower our youth. I'm a firm believer that the children, what I can do for them, whether it be a youth mentoring program, like one of the programs that I created and ran when I was in District 1 and District 7, whether it's one of those programs or, like I said, just showing up at a school and letting the kids know that, hey, you know what, there's help for you, right? If something is happening, something is going wrong, you can come make an anonymous tip, and, the information that we receive at Crime Stoppers can help make a difference for you in your situation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're thinking about tomorrow. Now, here's the most important, because you guys know that Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit. So how can businesses, support Crime Stoppers? Because we want to make sure that, you guys know that this is, again, a nonprofit. So how can businesses and just everyday people help?
And, so the whole thing, everyday people can help, as I mentioned earlier, the eyes and ears being the force multiplier, right? Anything that you see and know is happening and going on, please report it anonymously, right? Report it confidentially. You can use either our hotline, the 808-955-8300 number. You can download the P3 Tips app on your phone. It works for both Android and iOS. And you can even visit our www.honolulucrimestoppers.org website, submit a tip that way. And last but not least, when it comes to fundraising opportunities, we have many, many opportunities. We have our gala event. We have our upcoming golf tournament, November 5th at the Pearl at Kala'au. So please look for that information.
Again, luckily this is recorded, so please, if you can, help. Thank you, Edmund. Appreciate you. Thank you, Malia. Next week we talk affordable housing. All right. Thank you. It's the right side of Common Sense Conversation.